Season 3. Here we go. Kick it off. Thank you for listening.
Power to the people if you understand, sing for me. Yeah. Power to the people if you understand, sing for me. Say you feel me. Power to the people if you understand, sing for me.
Welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Ismail Shahid. I got my brothers on. We're going to chat it up a little bit today, various things, but we're going to do it impromptu today. This is going to be the opening. So here we go. I mean, let's kick it off. One thing I wanted to ask y'all, um, when we said we was going to go to YouTube, that was a different move for us. But uh, I wanted to get your opinion on something I really wanted to do with Season 3. And I wanted to dedicate that Season 3 to Pops. But I wanted to get your opinion on it and get your approval on it too as well, because you know, he meant so much to all of us. So I want to get your opinion on it. What y'all think about dedicating Season 3, the podcast, to Pops?
Absolutely, big bro. I mean, I got no problem with that. Absolutely. That's a beautiful thing.
Maybe try to bring a lot of different family members on every once in a while, man, and give some stories and some things that he shared with us and how he's raised us. I don't know.
Man, I absolutely agree with it. The season 3 be long enough to tell you the truth. The legacy of, you know, Honorable Khalifa Atiq. But that is what a wonderful thing to do. I mean, you paving the way, so it's only right to dedicate season 3 to him. I'm 100% with it.
All right.
I'm with that as well, man. I'm with that as well. I think Abby has touched, Honorable Khalifa Teague has touched everybody in their own way. And to shed that light as to how, he played a role in your life, I think that's big. That's huge.
Can you imagine a show without homies on it? Yeah,
that might be crazy.
That would be lovely. That would be amazing, man.
That'd be live.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
I don't think you can get that much history in one room. I don't think it's possible, man. Do you know how many stories they would have? Because they all have their own version of Abby at different times, at different points in life. Like that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, and they all played a different, in the 90s, the 2000s, whatever, where Abby was moving around
together
overseas.
like that would be
he
amazing.
Communicated with them on a different level at different times. It's crazy. That would be crazy.
It'd be some good insight, man, for men and women alike, man, to people that are trying to build relationships and do certain things and how they build in their relationship now. It's so touch and go with relationships, marriages, and our homies, man, could give so much insight to a lot of young women.
Yes,
especially a lot of young men. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the whole narrative of Islam, right?
Mm-hmm.
How men can do and everything, and what women can't do. What you see, our homies are amazing women, so it's got to dispel a lot of
pillars. They're pillars, man. They're pillars. They establish the foundation. They are the understanding of Deen al-Islam when it comes to polygamy or women in Islam and how it's supposed to be done. Without any animosity, they play their position, they play their role. They raised each one of us like we were their own. I can't tell the difference between none of my mothers. I can go to any one of their houses the same way I would go to my homies, and it's always the same. Drive their cars, have access to the refrigerator, have access to a room if I need to sleep. I can't tell the difference. And the same thing with our siblings. And I think that really has to do with the father, like you said, Abby, because he made that such a big thing in our lives as children. When we were kids, he would take us on journeys. I remember when I was younger, I was about 6 years old, my first time going to New York. And he just took me, went on a journey, a 3-day journey. We drove from California to New York, stopped everywhere along the way. And when I got to New York, I was placed in the houses like they were my own. I had access to everything. You know what I mean? Walk in and out the fridge, playing the video games, fighting with my brothers and sisters, just like they were my blood brothers and sisters. So by the time I got home, you couldn't tell me nothing different about Rafiq, or about
Hmm.
Zaid. Like Zaid was my older brother. You know what I mean? Listen, if you want to get down off the joystick after I beat you in Street Fighter, then you know what I mean? I beat you up the same way. It's no difference. And that was
None.
instilled into us as kids. And like I said, I don't think that can really be taught. It has to be shown. It has to
Hmm.
be shown. It has to be take you to a place. Let me walk you through the history, not just pick up a book and read a story to you. And I think that's kind of
Absolutely.
what Abby put into all of us. He showed us how to live as Muslims. He showed us how to live as brothers. He showed us how to live as, Murids and Talib and Moshe Kamen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've always noticed, just about my mothers is, and I say my mothers, I mean, people ask us all the time, like, which one's your Umi? And I'm like, all of them. I always say that. They be like, no, but which one's your Umi? I'm like, all of them. Like, there's no difference to me. That's just because Abby set that bar that way, and they followed it. And I mean, when we talk about being able to talk to any one of our mothers and have a conversation, they always remind of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first thing that they go to. That's the first place that they go. They don't look at, well, like if me and Shabir was to get into an argument, or me and Sal was to get into an argument, our mothers aren't looking like, well, what did my son do versus what your son do, or anything of that nature. It's just like,
If
yo,
anything,
let's
they
sit
make you
down with
feel
us,
dumb.
yep, and be like, well, what did you do? What did you do?
Right.
Given, like, you know what I mean? And that's just the way that it is. So, I mean, I've lived with every last one of my mothers at some point in my life. Like every last one of my mothers I've lived with, or stayed with for a long period of time. I mean, when you came up to New York, we went right back out to California, like right
That's
back out to
that's what it
California
was.
with you. So we just that bond has been built, and Allah is so kind due to their sacrifices and our father's sacrifices that we're able to actually, be where we are today.
That's great. What you think, Zay? What's your, on your end, Zay? What you know? It was something. So, tell me something about that reminds you that Abby always reminded you, or Umi's reminded us about being family.
Man, Abby, it was just from the very beginning. Like there was no like Ayub, our big brother, was big bro to me. Like, y'all were big brothers forever. Abe, like there was never any moment where like Rafiq was saying, where he was saying, no, this is not your family, or I felt it with any of our umis, any of my sisters. Like there was never that moment. We were all one family, and that's like you said, it can't be taught, but it should be shared because that's what Islam is. Islam is that
Mm.
loving that loving environment that we have
Mhm.
that needs to be shared. So I think that's a beautiful idea. Is I think you should run with that, man.
Leading into
Yeah.
that, I mean, leading into that. Now, go ahead, Fee. What was you saying? What you say? Go ahead, what you saying?
No, what I just wanted to say is I wanted to piggyback on what Zaid said, and I think sometimes that narrative gets a little bit twisted, especially with us because we're so passionate with one another and things of that nature. That we're one family, and people may think of that to be a negative thing, or us to be sometimes negativity, but for the most part, if they know how hard we are on one another, like yo, we are extremely hard on one another. Like they may get a glance at this, and this, and
It's
this
it's like one of
podcast
them
and
things where
on
you
this
try to
journey.
choose a side. You try to choose a side and you get jumped. Like,
Yeah,
don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Is because you seeing me and Feek or me
yeah.
and Zay going at each other's throats doesn't mean we have a problem with each other.
Then we have
And you
Mhm.
no.
trying to
That's
create a
we
problem with
push
us
each other.
is going to create a big problem for you. Because now we both going to look at you like, whoa.
Yep, like yo,
It's good.
like, like I mean, we've had conversations where we literally been talking. I'm agreeing with Sal, and then like 2 seconds later, I don't agree with that part.
Nah, bro, yeah. Like
You know what I mean?
we get heated. We get heated,
And we get
man. We
heated
get
with it. We get
excited.
heated
We
with
get
it.
hyped.
So
We get, crazy. And like I said, from
yeah,
somebody looking from the outside, you're gonna be real confused. Like, should I say something? Should I jump in? No, I'm gonna jump out. It's like playing double dutch. Don't
exactly.
don't get in this door knock. You gonna get
Exactly.
tripped out.
It's like that, but that comes from that challenge that our father and our mothers have given us to always think, to always use common sense, to always make sure that you give your opinion and get your feedback on a lot of stuff. So therefore you can make the right decisions. And whatever that decision may be, you own it. So that's just what I wanted to say. And that's one thing that we do in this family is We hold each other accountable. You know, we talk a lot of Godfather and stuff like that, and you'll hear sayings like "never take sides against the family" and things of that nature. But that only goes when being done wrong, you know, and being done in a certain way. So we we definitely hold each other accountable with a lot of stuff. But at the same time, being able to be like our mothers and being caring to one another and knowing when someone is down and out or someone is hurting, that we're there to assist and help them out and be that ear and that sense of advice for them. So that's one thing I just want to give that information about, you know, our brothers and our sisters. We didn't even touch on that yet with our sisters. You know, they're
Ooh.
a bunch of those.
Ooh.
And I want to piggyback off of that as far as accountability as well. I think that's kind of what made us accountable to one another, right? Because starting out, you really don't know. There's so many different personalities, right? Between our brothers and sisters, there's so many different responses you can get from something
Mm,
that you do. So now, as you move, you begin to think, how is this going to affect this individual? How does this person think? And it teaches you to deal with people as well, because you have 50 different personalities. When you put something in a room, you got to make sure it's accustomed to everybody's lifestyles, to everybody's liking for the most part. So it teaches you how to deal with the world as well. That's what I can say. The biggest thing I learned from my family is how to adjust myself to each scenario that I'm in. How is this going to come off? Is it going to come off offensive? Though I may be saying the right thing, am I saying it at the right time? Is it going to have the right effect? And it makes you think, you know what I mean? And you learn that from family. And you can't learn that just from your family. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your brothers and sisters, they become closer as you grow into yourself, but younger, you might not get along. But as you grow
mm,
into yourself and you're more comfortable with yourself and, you know, you understand who you are, then that relationship with your older siblings, you start to understand them more and what they were going through. And when you have a huge family, now you know how to deal with people in masses and large groups, because now you're dealing with 40, 50 personalities. Then you can go out and deal with 1,000 personalities when you're addressing the world. So to me, it was a blessing. It's really showed me how to cope from California to New York to in and out the country, where now I feel like I can talk to any individual because now I'm more open to how they feel and their responses, and it makes the dialogue a lot better.
And it's rare in today's world too, because you hear nowadays, even with big families, with small families, families are not, they don't, a lot of people don't put value on families as they used to, and it's more so of this family did me, this family member did me, he owed me $200, and all of a sudden now the family doesn't want to even get together no more at all because this cousin owes that cousin, the first cousin down this line $200. And they hold it and hold it and hold it. And you see so much stuff, being presented on social media about if somebody doesn't like you or if the family doesn't like you or if this doesn't, they don't agree with your way of thinking. And this goes back to what Feek and what everybody was saying about um, disagreeing and still being able to come together. Or outsider looking and saying they disagree, and then we jump in there on his side, and he's like, "Whoa, excuse me, wait a minute over here. This is a family disagreement." So that goes along with what I want to ask is, I mean, these are examples. Can we use that that was one of the reasons why I wanted to ask y'all that using pops, this season 3 as a remembrance for Pops or dedicating season 3 to Pops because we're going to actually try to use a lot of examples from within the family to present, with the podcast and the things we're trying to do on the back end with the podcast as some sort of guidance that people can take from and use. So these things are real important that y'all really mentioning and talking about, about family structure. It's time to build family structure back up.
mm.
The importance of family structure, build it back up, make it strong. Stop weakening it. It's being weakened, and
I
it's
agree.
being weakened for a reason. So, but
I agree.
that has to change, and hopefully, through the examples of things that we've gone through down the line, in shows to come, inshallah, we could try to give more examples of things that we've been through, and people can use that. People can use that. So,
And you know what's important though is that everything Pops went through, he learned it from Abuji, who taught it the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So
So,
all of that, that like I told our family just recently, you got problems, you got whatever you have going on with family members, you got 3 days, and then you gotta work it out or hug it out, kiss it out, fight it out, whatever. You got 3 days, and then you move on and you stay together as a family. So
mhm,
everything ain't going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but get the 3 days over it now. How can I make up with this dude so we can still stay as a family? And
mhm,
that's
I
Sunnah.
think that's what everything, man, is. When you harbor feelings, they become worse over time. And the situation gets worse than what it actually is. And you don't even know why you're mad at this person anymore. You just know that you're mad. And then every little thing you find a reason to make it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and never actually address the issue head on. Get it out the way, talk about it, like you said, hug it out, whatever. And you'll be surprised how much farther y'all can go together, or how much
mhm.
farther you can go together as a family or as a community.
yeah,
As you know,
you don't want to get to a point where, you're not on talking terms. And,
Yeah.
we all are going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And you want to get on talk where you're not on talking terms, and you got to carry your brother or wash your brother, and understanding and thinking like, man, we weren't on good terms. That's a serious feeling. I've had companions that have been on those terms with friends or family members and things of that nature. And that's, hopefully, I don't wish that upon anyone. So whenever it is something like that, it is a situation where we can always talk. And if two of us can't talk, we need to bring someone else in.
Hmm.
But always keeping family strong. Ishmael, I think what you said was so important, is that you have to build back up family structure,
Yeah.
because yes, it could get weakened for a reason, especially when you have a strong structure. Um,
Mhm.
that's the only way for it to crumble, is for it to be weakened in some way.
Yeah.
And so
and
yeah,
it's
talking it out is always important.
it's a double-sided coin too. Even if you're not seeing eye to eye, right, or you're not talking, you still protect that person's reputation, regardless of how you feel with that individual, or if you do have a problem, y'all had a fallout. You still protect your brother or your sister's reputation in their absence. You don't let somebody dog them. You don't dog them. You don't degrade
Mm-hmm.
their character. You don't debase their character because you have a disagreement because of what you went through in your life. That's not
Hmm.
everybody's experience in their life. You shouldn't make your life experiences other people's life experiences based off the way you
Absolutely.
thought you was wrong. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
I think that's a part of becoming a man or coming into adulthood, is realizing, listen, I don't have to try to expose this person because I don't agree with them. And that's what you see a lot now on social media with,
Yeah.
you know, uh, hitting other, trying to attack other people or whatever it may be because you don't like them or you don't agree with them. That doesn't make them incorrect, or that doesn't make their belief incorrect. That doesn't make the way they live their life incorrect because y'all had a disagreement. And I think that, is a part of actually growing up as well and realizing, listen, it's not about me and you. It's about,
Mhm.
moving to the next phase. How can we move together through this as a family or as a unit or whatever it may be, with our disagreements, and still get the objective, taken care of.
It's how you do it then too, because it's so tough, man. People are being, man. Social media is manipulative. It's
Oh,
working. It's working overtime, man, to tell people you can do
what to do?
anything on your own. You're on your. I got it. I don't need.
Hmm.
I'm on my own. I don't need nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's working overtime. So,
Yep.
um,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that's where Shaitan wants you.
yeah,
That's where the
yeah,
devil wants you at,
yeah,
by
exactly.
yourself.
Yep.
By yourself. Once he sees you out there, oh, he's by himself. She's by herself.
Hmm.
Scoop
Yep.
is
Picked
exactly
off.
what he wants him. So you get into
Yeah.
that mode where you like, oh, I'm taking a step back, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that.
Yep.
I'm doing me, and
And
you can
and
look up and be like,
what's
oh my
so
God.
crazy, is you'll be given the tools to do it.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
You
Oh yeah.
understand? You
Oh
you
yeah.
you 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 find yourself in a position where you now think that your success is your success.
Yeah.
You
Giving
start
the
to
tools to
break
your
off, or you start to
self-destruction.
do your own thing, doors start to open or whatever it may be, but it's drawing you closer to Hubert Dunya. It has nothing to do with your direction or where you're trying to get back to. But you think now because you landed some crazy job, or this was already written out for you anyway, but you think because you took these steps or you turned your back or you whatever it may have been, You feel like your family members or your whatever might have been holding you back, and now you got some grand plan. No, it was already decreed for you to get it. Your frame of mind now might be distorted or thrown off, but you were going to get that regardless. Now the
Right.
biggest test is how you respond to once you receive the blessing. Are you going to now turn your back on those that pushed you to be great? How can you be mad at somebody if they force you to grow? Brothers, sisters, family, community, whatever it may be, whatever was
Challenge
done
it.
to you to make you feel the way you did, it forced you to grow. And that's how you have to look at it from the outside. I would have never grown if I stayed this way. So yes,
Mhm.
you put me in a position to now grow, and I'm appreciative of it regardless because now I am on a different understanding.
Let me ask
And
you
I
a
think
question. This individually, y'all can take turns to answer. How do you break it down life wise? Like you got you I don't have any smaller younger children. Y'all still have smaller younger kids. So you juggling your life, your career, making money for your family, your kids, your wife, your everything, all of that. How do you juggle all of that and then create the family atmosphere within your homes, within your outside your homes, and then be able to translate it to people that you may come across? How do you do it? How do you find the way to juggle it?
I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna jump in and out. I don't think it's a one size fits all. I don't think there's some one answer you can give. I would say the biggest thing, honestly, that works for me, and this is me, is Holy Quran and Sunnah, right? Is following the guidelines that have been put forth. When you tread outside of that and you try to make your own way, you not have to fight your own battle. As long as you're doing what's correct, Allah Ta'ala is going to fight for you. He'll fight your battles. He'll take care of it. It'll work its way out. It'll always sort its way out. But when you try to take things into your own hands and do it your way and rewrite the script, then now you better come up with some grand scheme to figure it out when it starts to fall apart.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have to. Everything falls back to Holy Quran and Sunnah, and the community that Rasulullah SAW started.
So
He took a small community. He took the people out of Mecca to Medina, and then from there it grew. Families, communities, we're all brothers and sisters in Islam, but it started with a little small community, and then it goes from there. You start with your family, and you grow that tight knit family. Your what's that, secular family or whatever, nuclear family, and then you keep expanding it, and you go your immediate family, and then your expanded family, and then your community, and then city. So it's doing what's right, forbidding what's wrong, staying on those principles in your household and then within your family and then within your community and then taking it to the world.
There you go.
yeah, I would say something, that our mothers always used to say to us, and I use this slogan a lot through September stage and things like that, and that's a family that prays together stays together. I mean, it is extremely hard to to be upset at your brothers or sisters or anything of that nature when you're praying together, right? When you're in majlis or in a circle together and you're praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So I, to answer your question, Ishmael, as far as how do you juggle all of that with your family, is you make your everyday life a part of theirs. Things that you do on a daily basis, whether it's waking up in the morning for tahajjud, or waking up in the morning and reading together and things of that nature, right? And praying together, right? You use that as an example. So like you said, we have littler kids and things like that. And you'll realize that your little small ones will start praying next to you. And they'll
Mm-hmm.
start asking you to
Hmm.
wake them up for Fajr. And all of those things will start happening. And when that happens, right? Those are the opportunities that you have to completely take advantage of. I want to really commend Salahudeen on one thing is, he traveled a lot and he traveled a lot and his family was with him.
Yeah,
Right.
That I'm
absolutely.
sure grew so much because there was nothing else. There was no
Mm-hmm.
one else out there. There was no friends, no family, no none of that. So it was their friends, their family, their entertainment, their, their all of that. So with me, I try to always include my family into everything that I do, family wise as well as community wise, whether it's taking them to my games when I go, whether it's them being involved in not only the school, the Majlis here, the madrasa here in South Carolina, but the basketball tournament that I throw, September stage, includes them. It includes all of my family.
Hmm.
They, help me out with it and everything like that. So that's how I juggle it by doing things for them, by them. And I think that that's the way to keep a lot of things strong on, for me, it works for me because I have a very busy schedule, but those times that I do have off, those little bit of moments that I have, I make the most of them. But and create those memories that they can, live on with and pass down to their families and things like that. I want to tell y'all the story because we're talking about, this being dedicated to Abby. And this just happened to me. But I want to tell you the story. And my son, everyone calls him Sonny, for those for those that don't know, whatever. And I had to go, do something for our community or so. And he was like, you always leaving and going to help somebody or so. And I was like, do you feel that I'm leaving you? And he's like, no, you just always going to help someone like your father did.
Mm,
And that joint blew me away because Sonny was
mm,
4 years old. He was 4 years old. He still remembers Abby. He wakes up, he has dreams about him, everything. He'll wake up crying like I miss my grandpa. All of those
mm,
things happen. But when he said that, I was like, wow, like I'm so glad that I can give that impression onto him and he remembers it from what my father had done or what anyone has told that our father has done. So it's funny that you actually mentioned that, and I just thought of that
mm.
story that just happened.
Mashallah. It's nice, bro.
Mhm.
It's nice. Mm,
Say, did
That's
you?
that's that's deep, man. That's deep. I think that's kind of what life is experiences. And when I was
Mhm.
young, that's really what taught me to travel was Abby. I left the house when I was 7,
Mhm.
and he took me around y'all. I didn't know anybody. I was homesick the first couple of days. I was young. I was a baby. I missed my family. I missed my homie. But it became natural after being there. I kind of forgot that I was even away from home
mm,
because it was like, nah, this is my brother. This is my sister. This is my homie. And sometimes you have to take people outside of their environment to force them to grow, right? It's kind of like if you put something inside of a jar, it won't outgrow that jar, right? But if you put it in the wilderness, if you put it out, somewhere in the forest, it'll bloom into a humongous tree.
Mm,
And by traveling, you experience that,
yeah,
right? You go into the unknown, you go into the abyss, you go into a place where it may seem scary because you've never been there. And start to develop yourself as you travel and grow and, go out there and learn. And you realize it's not even that bad. It's not even that hard. You'll find the aid along the way. And I think that's kind of like with everything in life. You take that step, step outside of what you know or step outside of your comfort and you'll be on the grow, begin to grow beyond what you think your capacity is.
mm. So well, I mean, we got a lot of them. That means because I got a lot of things planned with the podcast. So I'm gonna give up. Privately, we'll talk always, but with that, we gotta. It's looking like I don't know why my time is saying 3 minutes.
Oh man.
I don't know why. It gave us 45
I, I
minutes. It was
I
supposed to
think I
give
know
us.
because you set the time earlier for us to
I think
jump
it.
on an hour earlier, so it's probably going off that and
I
trying to
think it
cut us
took
short,
something.
thinking that we're at the end of it.
I think it took something away. Yeah, it took some time away or something. I don't know how. I'm looking on the screen to see how it does that. So it's saying 3 minutes left. That's what it's saying.
I think it still keeps going.
I think it still keeps going too. I think the recording stopped, but I think the video still keeps going. So
Yeah, you don't want the recording to stop.
yeah.
the the recording's gonna stop. It looks like the recording's gonna stop. That's what it's
Dude,
looking like. Yeah, yeah. That's what it keeps flashing on the
now
screen.
what you would do is just record, cancel this, create a new link, record again, and then when you edit, you're gonna merge them anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Look at the
Yeah,
media
we just
guy.
create a
See,
new.
there go the media.
Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna see these right here. This is bloopers.
Yeah.
True.
You
Yeah.
just edit it and keep it moving. So you just
Yep.
gotta put two videos together.
Okay. Well, we got plans on doing a providing a service, creating a foundation with the podcast, and that foundation will provide a service. We haven't really done enough, you know, legwork and put some things together, you know, to put some things together to say the exact service that we're going to provide. But it's along the lines of the things that we were talking about, you know, making sure the family structures, building strong family structures, um, building up relationships with each other outside of, family, um, building, building blocks, building strong, building, inner, have, your heart be right. When you do things, you do stuff for a purpose. And it's not, I'm not out here, just, we're not just out here just trying to chat up things. We're trying to give people, um, better options, and the reason why I asked again goes back to why I asked y'all to dedicate, because Pops, man, he was so dynamic, man, and his teacher, Al Murashid, you know, taught us, raised us. Like Zayd said, man, it's time to do as best as we can to people to give that to somebody, to tell the story, to give that to somebody, and give that to whoever listens, and help. I mean, they can use that to help them build a family structure for themselves.